Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside Now. And yes, we are back this week after some technical difficulties and for other things going on. We almost had technical difficulties today. I put my cord down and I couldn't find it, so I never made it on here as well today. And that would not be technical issues. That just be stupidity. That was it. That's all that was. Uh, I hope everyone is doing good. Pro Wrestling Inside Now. We're going to talk top tag teams, top 25 tag teams. We're at number 22, and we'll talk about that. But before we talk about that, whoo, boy, there's been a lot of things going on in the world of professional wrestling. Let's talk about the first thing, and that's Jeff Hardy being arrested. Was he arrested in Valparaiso, Florida? Was that where he was, or just the county of Val?
Somewhere in Florida. I don't remember where.
He thought he was in North Carolina, though. He told him that he was traveling from North Carolina to North Carolina. Have y'all seen the video?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the whole thing where they actually arrested him and everything, but yes, he was traveling from. What do you think about that, Jack? What's going to be the verdict
I think honestly the best thing that can happen to him is to be found guilty and to do some time, something that's going to wake him up before he gets to the point where he kills himself or somebody else. And I like Jeff. I think he's done a tremendous amount of great things in his career. But on his personal side, you've got to be in control, of what goes on in your life. And when you're an alcoholic, you can't use the excuse of, well, I'm only going to take a drink or two, because that's never going to stop there. So, your addictions, you have to face them head on. You can't give in to that temptation at all. I hate that it's happened to him again. I do, but he's got nobody to blame but himself.
Rodney, Jeff Hardy, did WWE, did they know that there was a problem with Jeff and wanted to get him help before it got worse? Did they see it coming?
I absolutely think so, and I think that his irrational behavior during the shows showed it, and so yeah, I think they absolutely knew, and they they cut their losses. You notice they didn't try to keep him there, and so yeah, I think they cut their losses before he became a big disaster for them.
As Vince McMahon, it looks like he's become at this point.
That's right.
A liability for the World Wrestling Entertainment. What do you think's Rodney? What do you think's gonna happen out of all this that went on with Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis? I think Kevin Dunn. I don't think he had anything to do with the woman, but other things he had going on with him. What do you think, Rodney? What do you think about it?
Oh, it's been a mess. It's been a mess since the first. Honestly, though, based on history and professional wrestling, it's not a surprise. It's happened throughout with all attorney, etc. And all that. But yeah, it's certainly taken place throughout the wrestling industry for sure. But now in these days and times, it's not. It's really and truly it was frowned on then, but it's really frowned on now, especially in the climate that we're in. And as far as Bruce Pritchard's now in charge of where John laryngitis is at, I guess that's what he calls it now. He's probably has laryngitis after having to scream after he's been implicated in all of this. Just bad news for them for sure. But Vince came out both shows on SmackDown and on Raw and really defiance. We'll see how it ends up. If you just take a look at
now, am I right, Jack? Stephanie now is the CEO, chairman of the board at this point, right? Or
yeah, she is at this point. But of course, we all understand that she's just a figurehead right now. That Vince is still pulling the strings behind the scenes. She's going to do what Vince wants done. This was done by the board because they wanted the investors to see that the family, even with all the stuff that was going on, the family was still in charge of the company. Now, there's a real possibility out there that Vince could be removed, even though he has the majority of the ownership of the company. By going public, he had to sign as long with every employee on the board there, agreements. And let me the uh, violations of agreement for that, if that he could be removed as now, they can't take away his ownership, but they can take away him running the company in any way. But that would be violations of agreement on the terms of embezzlement, fraud, misconduct, conviction, or guilty plea involving moral turpitude. Um, the embezzlement issue, I don't know that it would be termed at that, but when you take an employee that's making $100,000 a year and then you double their salary to $200,000 a year after you're having an intimate affair with, that is an issue. That's what they're looking at. There are 5 different law firms looking at suing the WWE right now over what they term that his conduct has caused investors, shareholders to lose value in the company. That's only dropped 3% in value, but if you're if you own a lot of stock, 3% is a good bit of money. So that's what they're basing that at. I don't know that he's going to come out of this unscathed. So
But not didn't she even get at the end of that? Didn't she also get a $3 million servants package or something at the end?
$3 million is what he paid her for her non-disclosure agreement, and now he paid the $3 million out of his own personal money. From my understanding, it was $1 million, and then the rest of it is going to be made in payments over the next few years. So as far as that doesn't come out of the coffers of the WWE itself, the whole thing about the salary increase though is where the issue is.
Very, very sad for WWE. It's sad that they would even do that. He would even and I think this was 2019, right?
No, this was just came to their. I think it was first of the year.
So what
when
years
it happened
there? Do you know?
I believe from 2019 till the first of this year.
Wow.
But
and we do know that Vince is losing his mind, and evidently so.
We don't know. The only thing we do know is there are numerous other non-disclosure agreements with payouts that have been found too, but they have not disclosed the amounts of that, or any other details. Just that there have been numerous other instances in the past.
Rodney, your thoughts?
Right now, MJF is thinking, could he get a secretary's job there?
Our ring boy, whichever one you want to go with.
No, it doesn't look good, and it really doesn't. It's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. I kind of think that Stephanie had an idea this reason she want to try to get out of there, but they've sucked her back in to protect their investment. But it doesn't look good, and you're right. It does show Vince is not. Something in the brain's not working right.
And let's also point out that in all this, John Laurinaitis has been tied up, not from a financial aspect, but from just the involvement in the whole situation. He has now been placed on administrative leave.
Right
now, I don't understand why he's getting the boot. When Vince is the one who's over everything and is prancing around, like I've done nothing wrong and you can't do nothing to me. But he's been placed on administrative leave. Bruce Pritchard, along with all his other duties, now has assumed the interim position of Director of Talent Relations.
Kevin Dunn, he sold $1 million worth of stock, or 1 million shares, maybe even. I'm not for sure. Did he? You think he knew that this was fixing to hit the fan? So
Well, that is what I had read was a part of the investigation. Was that they were looking at him for insider trading, and somebody pointed out to me that he is no longer a board member. So, and I said, well, yeah, but he's Vince's right hand guy, so he's going to know what's going on there. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how that's going to play out, but I do know this: if Stephanie winds up actually taking over the company, if Vince is forced out, um, she does not like Kevin Dunn. So I think we can all agree that we love Stephanie for that.
That's
and I
right.
don't believe she likes Bruce Pritchard as well. So I think
I
he
d- well, and here's the thing with Bruce Pritchard is he's facing a major shoulder surgery that's going to put him on the shelf for a while. So I'm not sure if he's having now to put that off because my understanding is he's in a great deal of pain. And from a guy who's had a shoulder replacement, I'm telling you, if you get to the point where you need one, that's a painful way to be on a daily basis.
I'm
So,
surprised that it's his shoulder and it's not he needs a nose job.
yeah, that too.
So close to Vince. Uh, I have to ask y'all this question as well about the WWE. Brock Lesnar came back
Mhm.
on, I guess it was SmackDown, correct? Or
Yep.
was it?
Right.
Does that help the company? That do they need Brock Lesnar back and Roman Reigns on a more permanent basis?
They needed something, with Cody Rhodes out, with uh,
Randy Orton's out.
Randy Orton out, so many others that are hurt. They had to have a major star power to come in for SummerSlam, and that's what they're directly building to with this. And their options are limited. They fired so many in the company, and this is one thing I have noticed, especially on Raw with a 3-hour show. You have a lot of folks doing double duty on there. They come out and do extended interviews. Becky Lynch was in 2 matches the other night.
Yep.
So their cut in talent is starting to hurt them, I believe.
Well, do you think she had a problem and told them that she needed to be paid second contract for that second match?
I doubt it. I don't think anybody has the problems that we ran into.
That's just independent wrestlers, right? That's
Yeah.
the reason WWE does not want independent wrestlers, because they think they're supposed to be paid 3 times if they work 3 times. They don't understand they're being paid for the night, not for their match. But that's neither here or there. But because if guys knew the wrestling business in the 1970s, guys would wrestle 45 to 50 minutes, 30 minutes matches, and well, you're gonna have to have. I have to have an 8-minute match and come back and have a 5. Yeah, I know that will hurt you so bad to have to do that. Very saucy today, by the way. My last day in the printing business, 32 years, and I got out of the printing business, so I'm a little saucy today. I'm ready to move on to the next step in my life. Let's talk a little bit about, as we're talking about WWE. I want to talk a little bit about AEW for a minute. What is going on there? Ratings are dropping like just pow. The show is horrible. But
let me give a rundown of the ratings for Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, Rampage, and NXT. Raw did a 1.986, which was up. SmackDown did a 2.274, which was a pretty good increase for them. NXT did 675,000, which is about their average number. Dynamite did 761,000. which is one of their lowest rated shows this year. Not to be outdone, Rampage had their lowest rating show in their history of 331,000.
Wow. Rodney,
Breaking records everywhere, I see.
why? Tell me, give me your thing, Rodney. Why do you think that's happening?
They're not
Why-
building anything. They're not building anything. And the one thing that they thought they had, Time Warner, or not Time Warner, but Discovery, Warner Media comes in and gets rid of him. I mean, they said, no, you're not going to come back on our show again, and use that kind of language. And of course, that's if anybody who's dealt with Warner, TBS, and over the years know that they're pretty strict when it comes. And now with the new regime coming in, they're going to have to watch themselves for sure. But yeah, what they're doing is they're not building anything. They're not building to anything. And I'm sorry, nobody's going to come watch the FJB against Tony Khan. Nobody's going to come pay to see that. But they're losing. The only thing they have is the excitement of somebody new from the WWE coming in, and apparently maybe Sasha Banks might be available now. I see that she was fired. But
would you
that's
not
all
be
they
a
have.
moron to hire her? Would you not be a moron to hire? She left the WWE.
Well, that would be Tony Khan, and yes, he would be. Yeah,
Well, here's the thing about AEW,
and it's possible that he might need a secretary.
What a lot of the wrestlers like about AEW is they are given a lot of freedom to develop their own characters. Because we can see that AEW does not know how to develop characters. They just take what's already there. They let the folks, do their own thing, which is sometimes good, sometimes bad. But it is what it is. But I can certainly see where Sasha Banks could probably excel there, as long as she gets to do what she wants to do and she beats Brett Baker every other week. Then she'll be happy.
I think also when they diluted their championship, when they put this interim championship, I think hurt them. They devalued their championship.
Well, I have never seen a company with as many titles as what they have.
They get an Atlantic championship now, don't they?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Beautiful belt, I have to admit. Beautiful belt.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now they've had another champion. And
well, and here I think one of the reasons their ratings went down is right now, over the last few weeks, they're building for this Forbidden Door pay-per-view. And unless you are a hardcore wrestling fan, you don't know who any of these people from New Japan are.
No.
And it's confusing. You've got Lance Archer, who was a part of the AEW roster for so long, still is, on their payroll. And yet now he's a New Japan guy because the deal they're doing with this one particular match, he's in this stable from New Japan. But they didn't explain that. So there's just a lot of confusion. There's a lot of people coming out being pushed as big time guys. And I'm not taking away from them. They certainly are great athletes, great performers. But few people know who they are. Will Ospreay comes in and loses his first match. One of the biggest stars internationally for hardcore wrestling fans. One of the biggest stars in the world. And yet AEW beats him right off the bat. Now, he got a win back, but still that kind of, to me, diluted, who he had the possibility of being for them.
Did it hurt them putting Young Bucks in the main event on AEW?
It hurts me to even mention their name.
They were the main event, right? Against, I don't remember who they were against at this point. Nobody wants to see the Young Bucks. I'm sorry. They have no marketing ability whatsoever. And when Tony Khan finally realizes that his friends have no ability to draw you money, and that original Cody Rhodes is the only one that had the ability to draw money, is Tony Khan ever going to wake up, or is he just going to be out of business before he ever wakes up? He's still dreaming, thinking it's WCW.
I hope he wakes up. I honestly do. I hope he wakes up. I still hope that AEW is going to round that curve and find a niche that they're so desperately searching for. Because right now their niche is we're not WWE. We're just using all their guys.
We're not WWE, but we wished we were.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Edge for just a second. Edge, they turned him, but I think we found out they might have turned him because he disagreed with the supernatural thing they were going to do with the what's the name of the group? I can't remember now.
Judgment Day.
Judgment Day. Does anyone blame him for saying this is stupid? Why are we doing this? This is getting over, and now you're going to go a stupid route. Are they going to go that route? Or have you watched it? Have they started moving to that supernatural type stuff?
Well, they weren't even on the show last night.
No, they just. I think they showed a replay. I think.
Yeah, Rhea Ripley during the last match, she had accidentally kneed herself in the mouth, and she's got her upper teeth wired in until things set. So she's been pulled from the championship match that she's supposed to have on the next pay-per-view. So there was no direction for him at all. I mean, you got a big pay-per-view coming up. You got this big heel faction. You should at least have the guys involved in something, and yet I don't see them that they've worked for anything for that.
Yeah, it just makes no sense why they don't want to go.
But no, I don't blame Edge. Back to your initial question, I don't blame Edge at all for saying no. I don't want to do that. And he's one of those few guys that are up there that actually would have the ability to say, "Hey, I don't want to do that," and not get fired.
Isn't that going backwards for him? Because did he do that at one time when he
Yeah.
vampire?
Yeah. I mean that was the brute thing. It wasn't demonic per se. It was kind of actually I kind of liked it. It was a fun little gimmick because we know vampires aren't real unless you're Vince.
I just when you're looking at what's going on in the wrestling business, I look at AEW as I remember telling Dusty Rhodes one time. I told him, I said the WCW is like random acts of crap. There's no rhyme or reason for anything you do, and AEW is worse than that. It is random acts of crap that mean absolutely nothing. There's no storyline to it whatsoever. And I only watch bits and pieces. Is social media, does that hurt? Does that really, we've talked about it before, is that hurting these ratings for these, or is that just a cop-out saying, that it's just nobody wants to really see the show? As we used to say, the 7-Eleven was open, and that's the reason we didn't draw. I mean, Rodney, is social media and they're able to watch this stuff like I do? I don't watch the show. I watch it on YouTube. Does that hurt the ratings some?
If when you're giving them and they're putting it on there themselves, I think so. Yeah, it does help, and it dilutes their main product. And you would think that Warner Media would say, we're paying for the show. We need to have exclusive access to it. You putting it on YouTube and wherever else, it dilutes our product. And you would think they would put stop to it, but you're right. I think that does dilute the main ratings for sure.
Because that's where I watch it. I don't watch the show. I only watch the highlights of the show. And if people don't want to, let's look at AEW. Would you really want to take 2 hours of your life and watch that every week? I mean, it's horrible. The show is just horrible. It's amateur hours. It's the amateur hour. And it shows don't let the wrestlers do what they want to do. Please don't let them do it. But I don't know that they are. I think Tony Khan says, what would be good if you sung and danced, and we'll do a production number. Do they really believe that some of the wrestlers they had, the guy that's in the mask, that Lucha, whatever his name
Luchasaurus,
is, do they think he's good? Do they really believe that somebody's going to buy a ticket or watch that TV program?
They indeed think he's good, and he is a Superman. I did watch the show the other night. He went through 6 tables in one match.
Tony Khan, I'm going to be in Jacksonville, Florida on Monday. Okay, if you want to talk, we'll talk. But you probably ain't gonna like what I'm going to tell you about the crap fest that you're putting on television and calling it professional wrestling. And he does really call himself professional wrestling. He don't even call himself sports entertainment. At least Vince will say he's entertainment. At least you can get past that. The wrestling. All right, now I guess we better talk to the people first, and then we'll get it to our. We were very long-winded.
We're sorry about that.
A lot has been going on. A lot has been going
And
on.
I can't see tonight. I can't. In typical show, I can't see any of the suggestions and remarks.
Good evening, fellas, from Richard Hood. Jason Mundy. Good evening, everyone. Wendy Harkins is with us. I think Wendy's going to be, she said she may be a part of the big show coming in July. Now, I don't remember the date. I'll probably bring it up in a minute. In Dothan, Alabama.
July 2nd.
July 2nd at I think it's the Crossing. Big card there, and we'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a moment. Clinton Bashore. Hello from McAllen, Texas. All right, here we go. Michael Barr, heated program tonight from Southeast Alabama.
Literally.
Yes. Dr. Philbo Grice, are you guys going to buy WWE? Yeah, I've got about 22 cents that I can put into it. And no, I don't think we'd ever. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to be. I do not want to have to worry about wrestlers. I mean, these people are making millions of dollars a year. Some of these people. Road Dogg said it better than anybody on the thing. He said, when you start complaining and making millions of dollars, you have bigger problems than creative.
It's true.
And this was a guy who was over creative for a lot of years.
Michael Barr, hello all. Let's see. Gregory, Beer Money. Now, he ain't talking about James Storm and that other dude, Chris Harris. Was it? Was it Chris Harris?
Yeah, Wildcat Chris Harris.
Yeah, I always liked James Storm until I met him. Then I didn't like him so well. It made Wendell Cooley look like a great guy. That's just Glenn Allen Shelton. Good evening, all. Dr. Philbo Grice. Jeff needs treatment.
Yes,
I think we all agree with that. He does need it, and hopefully he will get it. Because if he don't, he's going to end up killing someone or killing himself. We are on just 22. I think I already gave my 22. Chief Wally McDaniels and Tommy Rich, Wildfire Tommy Rich, and I will go ahead and say mine. Mr. Wrestling 1 and 2, tremendous tag team. They were the first tag team I can remember as a kid watching against Ole and Gene Anderson. And I remember that match vividly because they grabbed out of Wrestling 2's mask. It went to almost the length of the ring. They tried to get it off of him. It almost went to the ring. His masks were made just in a way that they could really stretch out. And then what gets you? He'd just go right back to his face.
Snap back in place.
How did this work?
But I'm telling you, you don't touch it unless he tells you to.
This is true. And I just remember that match. And I'm not for certain, but I believe it could have been at the Sports Arena in Atlanta. I truly believe that's where it was. And I just remember it. And I was very young, but I just remember that match just vividly. And so Miss Wrestling 1 and 2 on my list. And we'll go ahead, Jack. Number 22 on your list.
My number 22 is the Stud Stable, Robert Fuller and Jimmy Gold.
Tremendous tag team. All right, Rodney, 22 on your
Mine's the Sheep Herders, Jonathan Boyd and Luke Williams.
Luke Williams. So you didn't put poor old Butch Miller in there anywhere?
I really don't. Well, I mean, yeah, you could. But I think that Boyd and Boyd and Williams were the better team. I just do. Boyd could stir up an arena better than anybody had ever seen. He was tremendous talent and a tremendous mind for the business as well.
Yes, and a really a good guy. He would hurt you very easily though, so he was a very tough person. Hardy needs help from Gregory Busby. Charles Bellflower is with us, number 22, Dr. Jerry and Eddie Graham. I've seen videos I seen a video of them, and they were very, very good. Understood the psychology of what made a tag team. Christopher Hughes, evening guys. Hope you're all well. I missed last week. Well, you missed last week.
We did too.
You did too, Christopher. We all missed it last week, but we're back. My number 23 is the Southern Boys, Tracy Smothers and Steve Armstrong. Great tag team. Or they could be the Young Pistols. You know, they did Bang Bang before Cactus Jack, I believe. Or was Cactus Jack way before them?
I believe Cactus Jack was before them.
I think he was too. I think he worked for World Class, didn't he? Hello, guys, and everyone from Rick Brooks, Daniel Lang. Here's his number 23, the three-time AWA World Tag Team Champions and Australia's first WCW Tag Champions, the greatest tag team to ever walk on God's green earth. Pretty Boy, Larry Heenan, and Handsome Harley Race. Have y'all ever seen any of their matches?
I'm going to look them up. I bet you they were awesome.
Gregory, Vince rules. We'll see. We'll see if Vince is going to rule. Or I don't know. I don't know if he's going to get past this one or not. I'm not for sure. I think Vince should retire. He could barely get in the ring, in and out of the ring. This, is
I noticed that last night. He really seemed like he was really struggling to get around, getting in the ring and getting out. And of course, that's a big meme today of him jumping off the steps. I think he lost his balance.
Oh man, that's bad.
The part I saw is that he couldn't get his arms over his head. I did notice that.
Well, I mean, how old is he? 76.
76.
But he looks bad. I mean,
he has aged more, in my opinion, in the last year.
Well, it's all that extracurricular activities.
I guess
had taken up in
because at WrestleMania, I was really shocked at how old he looked.
Yeah,
he looked,
and I don't mean nothing wrong. We all get old. I'm just close. So, but he just his whole appearance just seemed to have changed.
Yeah,
I've noticed it as well. I noticed these huge circles around his eyes, especially in the last two shows.
Jason Mundy, number 22, the Texas Outlaws, Dusty Rhodes, and Dick Murdoch. There is video of them wrestling, and they were just tremendous. They were just tremendous. You just have to look them up, and Mako says, "What's causing?" Oh. Ric Flair, I believe. When does he have his last match?
July 31st, I believe.
Well, probably one of his last matches. Maybe they should have put one.
On a tour.
Oh, I didn't see where they were supposed to be at the fairgrounds, and they completely sold out the fairgrounds in 24 hours, which was tremendous. So now they've moved. I think it's around 3,000 people that you can see at the fairgrounds. Now they've moved to the Municipal Auditorium downtown in Nashville, and that'll seat, I want to say 7,000. So they're going to put those tickets up for sale. And my understanding is that the cheap seat tickets are going to be much more reasonably priced because right now it's $2,000 for 2 front row tickets is what they sold for.
Wow.
Let me write this down. I will not be going
to
see their last match. I'm going to write that down. Christopher Hughes, I don't feel sorry for Jeff. I understand and I care. I am a recovering opiate addict. I'm clean 9 years. Got to be done. Good for you, Christopher.
Awesome.
That is awesome to hear. That's right. Michael Barr, Tim White, and Dave Hefner both passed away this week. Both tremendous guys. If you ever had the opportunity to meet either one of them, when we were promoting WWF in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Tim would be there occasionally. And at the time, he was also an agent. He may have been an agent at the time, may not have been referee at the time. But he was very good to work with. So was Dave Hefner and Earl, all great people. But we send our condolences out to Dave and to Tim's family. It's a horrible situation. And someone else passed away this week. I can't remember who it was. I'll have to. This has been a very busy week for me. Somebody owes someone some push-ups. Well, I'll do some push-ups, some pull-ups, and then I'll throw up, and then we'll get back to what we got to do. Kevin Penley, I heard they're promoting Bruce Pritchard in talent, and Paul Heyman goes to head of creative.
Now, I haven't heard about the Paul Heyman part.
I will tell you, Kevin, if this was Tom, he'd be very upset with you. You put a T in that name.
Very sensitive.
He's
very sensitive.
about the
Very
T
sensitive
name.
about that. Yeah.
He'll make
Very,
sure
very sensitive about that.
he does not. He don't play with that. So if you, Kevin, don't ever go down there and try to be, go to their wrestling school because they'll liable stretch you for that. You putting that T. Now I don't know. Bruce might not care. I'm not for sure. But,
Bruce probably puts a T in it.
Wendy Arkin said, "Rest in peace, Dave Hefner and Tim White." Same thing with Michael Barr. He said, "Condolences and prayers for the family and families of the two referees." And don't forget now, Tim White also he was the caretaker of Andre the Giant. He made sure that Andre got from town to town and got to the motel, and I bet he loved that. He loved that thing when he gave a 400-pound giant sleeping in the lobbies of the motels and trying to get them to the room.
Actually, I saw a lot of commercials. They became really close friends, and I know when Andre passed away, he had a difficult time dealing with it
because he was with them a long time. So,
yeah. Sure.
Clinton Bashore said Vince has got to go, looking like a real Hugh Hefner, right?
And you're Clinton. You're probably more right than you know. Absolutely, Fox and NBC, Universal will not tolerate it. They just, as we know, I won't go into their histories right now, but neither one of those networks are going to put up with it. When they start losing sponsors, they'll be losing that show. So yeah,
that's it exactly. That's where all this hinges on. Vince can say, "Hey, I'm not going to leave," and maybe they can't just fire him per se, but he's going to find out pretty quick that it's in the financial interest of the company for him to leave.
Yeah, and I believe in the end, I believe that AEW will not be renewed for a 2024 contract as well. I don't believe they will. I'll be very surprised if they get renewed. I don't know why you renew them. They just keep on going down. They went here and just kept on going down, and it'll get worse. It'll get worse. And Robert Fuller told Jerry Jarrett one time. Jerry Jarrett looked over at Robert Fuller and said, "In Memphis, this can't get any worse." And Robert said, "You want to bet?" So it can get worse. Joel Bateman, hello. Gregory, is Stephanie and Triple H separated? Jack, are they separated?
No. That's been disproven. Where the rumors come from, I don't know, but no, they're fine.
It came from from what I was reading. It came from Stephanie did not have her wedding ring on in a picture or on an appearance she made.
Well, and there was also at the shareholders meeting, she was addressed as Ms. McMahon.
Well, they made
is common, not a Mrs. or Miss. They do the Ms. And
well, it could be that they're also having to state their pronouns too before each meeting.
Does this mean Dr. Zahorian, I believe that's how you say that, is back in the WA with all that Viagra?
We'll be seeing more of those commercials on the show now. Vince will be doing the commercials himself.
How good looking was this woman, I wonder?
I don't know. I think you can look her up as Stormy Daniels and you'll find out.
Yes, my condolences to the friends, families, and fans of Tim White and Dave Hefner. Steve Williams, Ted DiBiase, number 22. And if you've never seen them as a tag team, tremendous. Steve Williams learned a lot from Ted DiBiase and really improved when he teamed.
Sure did.
I mean, just tremendous. We saw such growth in Steve Williams during that time. Let's see. George, our Ben Masters, for those of you who know him in the wrestling business, they're changing the name of the pay-per-view to Hush Money. Oh man! Well, while we got Ben Masters on the, let's go ahead and tell everybody about this show coming to. If I don't get ourselves, I got a new computer over here, so if I don't mess this up, the Fan Fest is coming. Continental Championship Wrestling Fan Fest, Saturday, July 2nd, the Crossing at Big Creek, and that is in Dothan, Alabama. Every time I've posted this, it doesn't say Dothan, Alabama anywhere on there, and they always ask me, well, where is that at? It is Continental Championship Wrestling Fan Fest, Saturday, July 2nd, the Crossing of Big Creek. So many people: Scott Armstrong, I believe Wendell Cooley, Frankie Lancaster, Robert Fuller, Jimmy Golden, Ron Fuller, the Tennessee Stud, Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. So many big stars are going to be there. Get your tickets for the Continental Championship.
And you can find Continental Championship Wrestling on Facebook, and you can go to their Facebook page, and they have all this information, address, everything's on there.
All right, so get over there to their Continental Championship Wrestling on Facebook. Get your tickets. Once in a lifetime event. So many great wrestlers going to be there. Make sure you get out there. As Freddie Miller used to say, be there. And that's one thing you want to do, and get there and see that. Let's go back to let's see. Michael Barr, will the WWF brand fall under? I don't know. It's according how they react. I guess it's how Vince will react to it, right?
Yeah. It honestly, it all hinges on him.
Yeah. And I don't know that he's going to leave.
There was a point that speculation was when Vince left, WWE would go down. Now the speculation is if Vince stays, it will go down. And the key factor there is Vince, and and the things he's done.
And there could be more. So, that's still up in the air. Stuart Kemp is with us. Kevin Penley asked this question. If Vince wasn't married, would all this still matter? I say yes. What do you guys? It's still going to matter because it's not about being married or not being married. It's
when you're paying for somebody's silence, that just reeks of wrongdoing. Now, my understanding is Vince and Linda, according to Dave Meltzer, so take that with a grain of salt, have not lived together in a long time. And I had heard that, years ago. And the reason they stay married is Linda knows that if they were to divorce, that would hurt the bottom line of the company. So she's just hung in there because she's smart enough to know that when it does sell, she's going to make a lot of money off of it. And she's got a lot of money. But, a lot of factors.
Rodney, you want to answer a little bit about Vince wasn't married?
Yeah, as Jack said, it's paying the $3 million. That's not good. That will be his downfall if anything. And as far as the company going under, no, these kind of scandals have taken place through various companies, CBS, CNN. They're not going under. They're not going away. So I say the same for it. Does it mean that they have to reorganize some things? Sure. Absolutely. But is it the end for them? No. It's the end for Vince. It's not the end for the company, though.
Well, can I ask you, why was it necessary for Vince to pay the lady $3 million? He had an affair with someone working. Was it important to do that? Or could you just say, well, all right, I had an affair and
very odd. It's odd story, isn't it? Why would you do that? If you're getting, unless you're doing some kind of politics, I don't get it.
Well,
I don't understand it.
I think it goes back to the agreement he has with the shareholders.
Sure.
And that moral turpitude, however you say that word. That's the way they're going to look at it. And, it doesn't matter if he and Linda haven't lived together forever. The fact is he's still married.
Yeah.
So that's still going to look bad to investors. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that their stock doesn't take a hit, but they'll reorganize just like every other company has. And and maybe even stronger. Who knows? Time will
Kurt
tell.
is with us, one of our supporters on our Facebook page. You can support the channel, and we're going soon. We are going to be doing a couple of different types of events that we talk. Some things we wouldn't talk about on here. That we wouldn't, and we'll talk about some territories and why. And we were there, Georgia Championship Wrestling. Really, why that went down, Continental Championship Wrestling, a couple other ones, and we'll talk about the downfall of those and what made it and what made it down. It's stuff that we really want to talk about here, and we'll give you a place where you can go and listen to that, and I think you'll enjoy it. And be looking for that sometime. We'll be talking about it in July. It'll be interesting, and Jack's got stories he can tell on there that he cannot tell. So we'll tell you more about that in the next. Because hey, we do know this: if you have to pay a little, the people that we're going to talk about is never going to hear it because they'll never pay for it. So that's always the good thing. So we can talk about people. No, they may never know. I've had double knee replacements, but never a shoulder from Christopher. Gregory, yes. Well, that's another person that they just took and destroyed. AEW didn't take long to destroy Daniel Bryant. I mean, they just destroyed him, put him in a comedy routine, and it just I just don't get it. Pensacola in the house from Bubba Griffin.
Hey, Bubba.
We've already seen he put that on there. Ben wanted us to know. George, I'm going to tell us to change the name to Pay to Hush.
Maybe you're going backwards.
No, I don't think so. I would like to see Cornette versus Heyman one last time. Would be fun. They could put him on. They could put him on that AEW because they cuss all the time. Cornette would be all right on that. WWE is still a big mess from Joe Bateman. Christopher Hughes. Just overlook what he said at the first. I wish I would have gotten paid each time I worked on the show. Heck, I wish I would have gotten paid a lot of the times. Christopher, I want you to know that current independent wrestlers believe if they make the show that they should be paid for every match. And if they come out and do an interview, I actually had one tell me that he needed to be paid to do the interview. So, and that's the reason we're talking on here and not promoting the wrestling shows. They need Shane O'Mac. I don't believe he will come back. I believe the last time he will be with the WWE. I don't know what happened, but it was during the Royal Rumble, wasn't it? Whatever happened at the Royal Rumble. I don't know if that was a true story, what they brought out. I think there's more to that story than meets the eye. Because if he was the one that's putting together the Royal Rumble, then why did it matter? Whatever he was the one to put it together. So why would that matter to anything he did in it? It just made no sense. They said they brought him in to do that, and then he got in trouble for doing that, for whatever he did in it. What's that? It makes no sense to me. The WWE, the WWE. Hey, I went all the way back to territory. The WWE paints itself in a quarter. The latest reduction in talent only serves to show their lack of foresight, not looking to the future. Brock the future at 42 or 43, and I agree, he is not the future of the company. I will agree with Stuart. Rodney, what do you think?
No, you've got to have somebody new, and I always tell you right now, I watched the match with Roman Reigns and the Riddle. Riddle was absolutely too small to work against Roman Reigns. I mean, it was what he did was absolutely unbelievable. Whoever put the match together did not put it together properly. There were certain things that Riddle was doing to him that was just not believable whatsoever. But yeah, you're right. Brock is not the future. He is. They're going to have to do some major building, and I think, quite honestly, they've made Roman Reigns to the point where the only option they're going to have is to turn him. That's the only option I see.
Jack,
I think at this point Brock is still a draw, and I think that's why they had to bring him in. But how many times are they going to be able to go back to that well? I mean, there's just going to come a point that one, Brock's not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, uh,
And if he does,
it-
it's going to cost him more and more to get him
Yeah.
back for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know that financially it's going to make sense. I don't think it's going to make sense to him, and I think eventually that allure of seeing him is going to wear off. And I hate that because I really like. I mean, he still gets great response, but I would rather see Brock come in once a year for one big match, not with a world title on the line, but just something big. Bring him in, almost like the Goldberg type thing. You know, so you can still bank on him at a certain extent, but he's not going to be your top guy. Not long term, not anymore.
Kevin Finley had this question, and I don't know if I can answer this question. He says, "Oh, I got one last question about Sonny Fargo. He was the assassin's valet with a mask, which I didn't know this. What was he billed as? Did y'all know that he was the?
I didn't know
No.
this.
I will look in on it, Kevin, but I don't remember this. But it could have happened and because that'd been in the Carolinas territory, right? Charlotte, and we probably wasn't watching the show at the time. Shane does not want it from Michael Barr. AEW ratings are going over like a cement cloud. And Joel Payton. It'll get worse, by the way. It will get worse because Tony Khan does not know what he's doing. I mean, I hate just, you know, just beat him down, but man, he does not know what he's doing. One summer coming on and other interests, and you has wore off. No drive. Looks like they wing it. I'm guessing he's talking about AEW. Yes, it does look like they wing it. And for goodness sakes, Tony, get rid of the Young Bucks. Whatever you do, if you want to survive, you got to get rid of them. I don't even want to go in. If I could talk like Jim Cornette. I don't really think about it, but let's just leave that and say that they're bad for the rest of the business. Didn't get paid my first 6 months working. I thought I made 40 once, but it was gas money for the ring truck. Gregory says Sasha Banks should go to Impact, less of a schedule. Wherever she goes, she's going to have inner contract. She does whatever she wants to do. That's the only way that she's going to. Coming up with more titles, Glenn. I think he is coming up with more titles. I think he wants everybody to have a championship.
Well, there's still the 6-man championships that are supposed to be coming. My understanding is they're waiting on Kenny Omega to come back before they introduce that, which obviously they're going to put that on him and the Monster Twins.
It's got to be where let's see. It's got to where enjoying a piece of tell is like walking through a minefield. Oh man. I never watched New Japan Wrestling. You know what? I always liked the Japanese lady wrestling, whatever that was called. I can't remember what it was called, but I thought they had great matches. The Jumping Bob Angels and I can't remember all the other groups. I thought they really had great tag team matches. And then the men decided they was in the United States just going to wrestle just like them. Gregory, they need to bring in the Great Muta.
Muta is on his retirement tour now, so he only has just a handful of shows left before he's hanging it up.
And you don't want to go backwards, and that is going backwards if you bring in the Muta. It's
well,
like,
he's about to have I think it's hip replacement, so he's just trying to get a few more big matches in before he has that done because he knows that he won't be able to perform at that high level.
Rick Brooks. I can remember Buzz wrestling twice, one night at Heroin in Dayton. Once very early, and again in the main event about 83. And Buzz said, "You know what, Ole? You're gonna give me more money." You know what Ole told him? Well, you know how you got here. Make sure you don't make your way to the building tomorrow, because I ain't gonna pay you no more money for that. I'll lose money with or without you, is what Ole would tell you. That's just all he would say. And if all promoters would do that today, I see these people make it Facebook post talking about the promoters. Oh, the gas is more money. Pay me more money. Well, you know what? Do you think that it's any cheaper for the promoter, for goodness sakes? I wouldn't book you. And if a promoter's smart, they won't book any of them people that get on Facebook and say that. You shouldn't book them people. You're a promoter. Let them sit at home. And that's just all there is to it. Let them sit at home. Archie, what's that say?
Archer.
Been in Suzuki-gun for a while with Davey Boy Jr. Is that a group?
Yeah, that was the thing I was talking about Lance Archer. All of a sudden now he's with a New Japan group, and see that's the thing is unless you're a hardcore fan, Glenn, nobody knows that, and that left a lot of AEW fans confused as to why all of a sudden this AEW guy is over here with a New Japan group.
AEW should sign Goldberg. They probably will. He worked for WWE. He'll get $10 million a year, and so then the other guys that work there, they'll get $5 million a year, and then the other guy will get $6 million, and then it's the guy. And by that time, poor old daddy is going to be broke because his son's going to keep on paying people. If you noticed, I'm not really a nice person tonight. I have turned into the heel for the show. Glenn Allen Shelton, Rhea hurt. So is she hurt where she can't wrestle?
Well, she had to have her front teeth wired back, and she'll be fine. But it takes a few weeks for the gums to seal back around those teeth that are loose, so she can't do anything until she gets that clearance from her dentist.
So she tatered her own self.
She did. She actually posted it on her Instagram, the video of somehow her foot hit the bottom rope and she just kneed herself right in the mouth.
Wow.
I mean, she was making fun about it, about the hardest she ever been hit as I did it myself.
Oh, that's right. Superstar Billy Graham. Rodney, you told me about this. I didn't know nothing about it, but go ahead.
He's having to have some toes amputated. That's some stuff. I heard that earlier this week. Billy Graham. It's sad, but he's having to have it done.
Is that from diabetes? Is that what the problem is with the?
They didn't go. I don't think in the story that I read it went into details. It was just talking about it was just a plain story. First of all, former WWE Hall of Famer having to have amputations, and but they didn't go into details of why.
Did you hear, Jack, any story about?
I just same thing that Rodney had. The only other thing I picked in that article was that he had just signed another Legends deal with WWE back in December.
Good for him. Superstar Billy Graham, one of the greats in pro wrestling. I don't watch WWE, AEW, or any other major promotion. I had rather watch Old Southeastern and Continental Wrestling shows. We talk about championships. Now, I make fun of Fuller and him, but everybody had a title there too. First matchup, Robert go, well, Ron, I don't have a title. Well, we can make you the Continental Champion. I'm the Southeast
Continental TV Champion, and then at one point they had the Northwest Florida Champion.
Well, they had a lot of titles too.
They did,
and we had a problem with that even back when we were kids. Glenn Allen Shelton, Gothic. Is they talking about what they were, what the brood was?
Yeah, I guess that would better describe them because they, like I say, they were not a demonic type thing.
I watched classic ECW, and at the time, I didn't like a lot of the hardcore stuff. But you watch that show; it told a story.
Well, and that's what I saw this comment earlier, and this is what I was thinking: is if you take the hardcore element and you just concentrate on their ability to tell stories and develop characters, ECW was probably one of the best of the last 30 years of being able to do that.
Yeah, and did a great job.
Yep.
They got some people over. Look at Sandman. He was not the greatest wrestler, but they had him over because they knew how to piece everything together to make him look good. Because if you think about it, you never watched the whole match of Sandman on their TV show. You just seen the stuff that he did that was, but man, Paul Heyman, you had to get him over. There's a clip that I watched, and he comes from the crowd, and them people are going wild over him. Just tremendous. Hey, did Stone Cold Steve Austin steal a little bit from him?
Yes. Yes.
I just wondered. Did he? Wasn't he
Yes.
drinking the beer and doing all that way before
Yes.
Steve Austin was?
Yes, he was.
So
Yes, he
Steve,
was.
you probably owe Sandman a little bit of money for stealing part of his gimmick. Christopher Hughes, if the group is over and a member of your group is sidelined, you would think you would want to keep them fresh in the fans' minds. At least something anyways.
Well, my suggestion for Ripley is when she comes back, I would be changing my finish to the knee lift because it's deadly and knocks the teeth out.
Joel French, AEW needs a Gordon Soley type person. He made Atlanta, Florida, and Continental, and this is the problem. You don't have 22 announcers on one show. That just why would you want? Why do you want so many announcers? And take that mask, Tony, off of that announcer, for goodness sakes. It makes your company look like I don't know what it makes it look. You know what? I'm probably going to have to take an extra blood pressure pill.
You need to go on a cruise. Rodney, don't forget to feed the dog.
I had a mark and lost it. Had to go back and find it. Oh, poor old Tony. Glenn Allen also said he has a brain trust needs used in the AEW. Well, yeah, he's using it.
Well, you're right. He's got Arn Anderson there, Jake the Snake, so many of those guys, and they're going around helping. Try to teach guys how to put interviews together and stuff like that. But as far as laying out the show and showing guys how to actually do it and structure matches in a way that makes sense, he's not utilizing those folks at all.
No, the writers ain't no better than the wrestlers. From Greg, we agree with that. They're not. The inmates running it in AEW, Glenn Allen Shelton. There is some truth in that, but it ain't no better there. I think they found that out. I think the wrestlers found out it wasn't any better there. It's just more money, and as MJF said, we're working for a mark. I don't like to use that word, but when it comes to Tony Khan, I think that word is apropos in that he is a mark. What's bad in the AEW has the potential, but always caters to young bucks and their cronies. I agree with that, and that's the problem. Young Bucks is a problem there for that company, and if he wants to survive, he's got to get rid of them. He can let them put up the rings, sell the merchandise, clean the buildings up. I know they got that big building there in Jacksonville. Let them clean that up a little bit. Still going to try to be there, just not sure yet. And that's Continental Championship Wrestling, the big reunion that they're having, Fan Fest, and on July 2nd. Plus, the riders are young nerds. Hey, once kayfabe died, there's nothing that can recreate the thrilling magic wrestling produced. The passion of the fans is gone. I think the fans would be there. I truly believe they'd be there if it just wasn't the stupid stuff. Because WWE still has a tendency to build. They do still have a tendency to build. I think they still know how to do it. But Tony Khan does not have a clue how to build nothing. He knows how to build a roster. And he can play wrestling promoter. Oh, I'd like to see Joe go against Bill. But nobody else cares about seeing Joe versus Bill or whoever it is that you're putting in the ring with. You got to make them care. And they're never going to care about the Young Bucks because wrestling fans in general know they're not any good. Just my opinion. But one major thing that lacks in today's pro wrestling is a Hulk Hogan, a Stone Cold, a Goldberg. Nobody's come along like one of these that can take the business and carry it. That has the it factor, just saying. And I would agree with that.
Yep.
There is none of those. And there's no one with the it factor. because I don't think the people are running it. I think they're just going through the motions. And is it hard to do good television when you're doing 12 hours of television a week, though?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And yeah, you're right.
Steve Richards, the late killer Tim Brooks, and Hoyt, aka Dirty Dick Murdoch, was cousins from Waxahachie, Texas, who sometimes tagged together. Why does the pro wrestling side think was the better wrestler, Dick Murdoch?
Yep.
Dick Murdoch.
And I like Tim Brooks, but Dick was far and away the better. Dick was far and away better than most of his generation.
David Bice is late, Jack. Could you please get him on Facebook? Go ahead and send him.
David. Here we go.
Go ahead and send him his late fee, and we'll get David. We'll pick that up here later on. Wendy Harkins, my number 22 is Miss Wrestling 1 and 2. Great tag team. They were so good together. The Mulkey Brothers, number 22. Richard did. Now they're not making my list at all, but I can see why you would put them on there because they took some bumps like no other. If you want to say who took the best beatings of all time, the Mulkey Brothers is gonna go in my list because boy they took.
I'll tell you when we first saw him, I thought Scott Armstrong took quite a good beating.
Yeah, well, Wayne Ferris and Ron
Starr.
Like they would know tomorrow, man. We used to tell Scott, fight back, Scott. That's what
everybody in the building was saying, Scott, fight back.
He never did.
Somebody throw the towel in. It's over.
I remember we told him we was coming back from some little town in Florida, and he rode with us, and we told him, man, we was going to throw in the towel for you. I felt bad for you there in that match. So I wanted to. There's sometimes that you can just sell and get beat up too much, where it just kills you. And I think that was what's happened to Scott. They was just killing him. Beer Money was Storm and Bobby Roode. Okay. Well, it doesn't matter anything that Storm was in. I was a big fan of his. I liked his work. I say it again until I met him, and now I just can't see goodness anymore. Number 22, Arn Anderson and Jerry Stubbs. Oh, they were good. They were tremendous tag team. If you've done, there are a couple of videos online, I think, of them tag teaming, mostly on TV, but their arena matches were just they were so good.
Arn Anderson and Jerry Stubbs, you can put them as far as team against anybody. I mean, they were just the epitome of what you would want in a tag team for sure. I mean, no better than Arn Anderson and Jerry Stubbs together.
I mean, kids loved Hulk Hogan. I remember how Dusty could have 1,000 pickup trucks at the Fort Hester Armory. How JYD could cause riots in Louisiana. Sorry. Christopher, if you were there, you would know how he did it. Mainly New Orleans, Louisiana was one of the major Baton Rouge, Louisiana he was hot in. He wasn't as hot in other places, but Louisiana, he was in Houston, Texas. He was over better than Dusty Rhodes was. Junkyard Dog was. And that was the importance of Junkyard Dog. At Shreveport, Louisiana, when he would come out to that building, it was louder than Hulk Hogan was getting. That building would shake when the Junkyard Dog went dun, 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 would hit, the place would go wild. Junkyard Dog was over in Louisiana. I mean, I
swear the Municipal Auditorium in Shreveport, the upper balcony was swaying.
Yes.
And Junkyard Dog, he would mention that in his interviews. Yeah, we was at the Municipal Auditorium and we had the balcony was swaying. That's exactly what was going on. And it looked like it was. It looked like it was.
And remember, Junkyard Dog still to this day holds the record for the Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. And with Michael Hayes in the main event, good old street fight in a cage. I think it might have been a chain match too. I think there was like 3 gimmick matches.
Dog collar match.
Deal. So they're not the only ones that put the 32 gimmicks in one. Buying the WWA would only put you back about was it 7 million or 7
billion?
7 billion. No, I'm not going to be buying that. I'm sorry.
Actually, the value that I had read back several months back was $4 billion.
Well, I'm a maybe $2-3 billion short, so I won't be able to buy that. Gregory, Dusty Rhodes, and Nikita Koloff. Best angle that they ever did with Magnum TA. I thought that was so good, so well done. My number 22 from David Bice, Ivan, and Nikita. Michael Barr, Rodney, Vince is getting old on accounts of lack of sleep.
That's true.
Yeah, he's well known for not sleeping more than 2 to 3 hours a night.
We know why now.
Secretary is keeping him awake as well. Glenn Allen Shelton has years of still catching up to him. Probably true. He's probably catching up to him. They didn't quit until they took John Gotti down. It'll be the same with Vince from Rick Brooks. Well, they have tried to take him down several times. Somebody that is in the board of directors want him out. And Vince will find out, and if he wins this and he gets out of this, they'll be gone. We guarantee you that. Hello, everyone. I'm late. My number 22 is America's Tag Team, Magnum TA and Dusty Rhodes from Victor Nash. Number 22 from Glenn Allen Shelton, the Fantastics, Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers. Tremendous. And they were another tag team that we got to see from the beginning. And boy, their timing was horrible at the beginning. They had missed stuff. It was just, it was so bad. But boy, as time went by, they got better and better and better. And truly, probably a better tag team than Rock and Roll Express. Their timing was just great.
I think it's the first Clash of Champions. The whole Clash of Champions show is available on YouTube. But go on there. I think it's second match. Maybe it's the Fantastics versus the Midnight Express. To me, probably one of the greatest tag team matches in our history. I mean, it's just, I have watched it so many times.
And I'm not taking away anything from Ricky Morton, Robert Gibbs.
Oh, no.
But for some reason, their matches with the Midnight was better.
And as a side note to Robert Gibson, his Facebook has been hacked. So if you get anything from Robert, it's not Robert.
Well, I wasn't answering it anyway. I got one from him. I thought, well, I'm not answering anyway because he did show up for one time for our interview. So I'm not going to answer none of his.
Yeah, I texted him and I said, "Are you trying to sell me property?"
Impact is 20 years old. Impact never liked it. Never thought it was any good at TNA. I just didn't like the show. They didn't know how to tell a story, and that's important for any show. Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, watch it. Tony Khan.
Brent is so right. That is an awesome show.
TV show. It'll show you what.
And occasionally you'll see hints of the original Star Trek series in it. You'll hear a battle when they're having a battle. You'll hear that battle music in the background. It's really good. Check it out.
It's tremendous. And so there is a way to learn how to book a show. Watch some TV.
I think what Mr. Hughes was saying earlier is that most of the people that he was talking about were created outside of the WWE. They were really developed elsewhere, and that's the problem. They're trying to create characters, and they're not creating that relationship, that connection between the fans and the wrestlers. Dusty was no better of having a connection with the fans. His whole story. I had a story that I was going to talk about last week where Jerry Briscoe was asked about the comparison between Cody and Dusty. And as Jerry said, and I agree with him, there is no comparison between Dusty and Cody. And they were saying, will Cody surpass Dusty? And he said, absolutely not. And he said, I'm not taking away from Cody. It's just Dusty basically created himself, basically marketed himself, and made that connection that till to this day, people talk about Dusty Rhodes. I'm not sure they'll be talking about Cody Rhodes in 20 years.
My number 22, the Sheep Herders. Number 22, Mickey Mayfield. Guys, what are your thoughts about the Forbidden Door pay-per-view? I don't think people, when you say Forbidden Door, it's an insider thing that insider people know. When Tony Khan finally realizes that most wrestling fans has no clue what he's even talking about, they don't understand any of that lingo, he'll be better off. And do wrestling. You know, when y'all watch Star Trek, they didn't say, well, Gene, when Gene created this show, they don't say that. They get me into the show. And I just don't like, I don't like his whole concept of what he believes. He's booking what he wants to see. Am I correct about that? Is he booking what he wants to see?
He's
It's-
booking so Dave Meltzer will talk about how great his show is. He's booking for an audience of one, and that's Mr. Meltzer, and that's and nobody else.
And here's the problem with that. Your wrestling fans, your casual wrestling fans, do not know any of the lingo. They don't even know what that forbidden door means. They're thinking, man, I don't know if I want to watch that. That sounds a little nasty. That's their thought because they don't know what they're talking about. And when Tony Khan finally figures it out and gets off all these internet channels and actually books his deal and don't want to see himself on TV and see himself on all this stuff, he's going to be better off. Go into the office, run your business, and get off of television because you do not do yourself any justice. You come over as a spoiled person that has no reason to be on. That I'm not going to support your channel because he's a spoiled guy that daddy gave money to. And I think that's what it's coming over to. And
I think that would be his gimmick.
Yeah.
All right. Tonight we're going to have this match because daddy said.
Hey, is he George? Is he the modern day George Gillis?
Yes, he is.
Gosh, I didn't think nothing about it. So right there.
Now that when you said that, now daddy said we're going to a commercial next.
Andre and Tim together again. Yes, a lot of things is there's some big matches going on up in heaven, and there was a song that Lynn Rossi did, and I'd love to find it. He talks about that he called it the Wrestling Prayer, and I'd love to find a copy of that and play that. That's tremendous, and he could go just change names in it. He could work today. It's great stuff. What has happened to Linda McMahon, Vince's wife? Does she have any say so in the promotion?
Now, she resigned her position with the company several years back, and then she's filled several political appointments. She was over something, I don't remember what it was, with
Small Business Administration.
Yeah, with under the Trump administration, and I know she's run for political office herself. So.
Joel Bateman said the Midnight Express, Bob Eaton, and Stan Lane definitely on my list. I'm sorry, but Stan probably didn't go ahead. No, Dennis Conner, Bob Eaton on my list, but Stan Lane doesn't get on it because of them goofy kicks he kept on doing over and over again that I did not like. And I remember Bill Dundee telling Bobby on the phone while we were in Continental, he said, buddy, get you another partner because Stan's going to bring you down. And he said, I love Stan, but he's not Dennis Conner. And that's what he told him. He said, get you another partner. Sean Smith, Vince, and Johnny Ace are the real undisputed. Oh man, it's everybody's kind of the hills tonight, aren't they? They're just the two. They're putting them out there. My number 22 is the Sheepherders, Luke Butch and Jonathan Boyd, not the stupid Bushwhackers. Yeah, they were just a deal. Hush Money in the Bank. Sean Smith said that.
Yes.
He brought that as well. When the Argos need to have a Continental Championship Wrestling Fan Fest in Birmingham, that would be a blast. Well, maybe Linda Marks will do another one, and that would be good. Number 21, Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood. We've talked about our team. Married with the WWE and children.
I'll have to ask you a question, Jack. I know Brent didn't see it, but did you see the crowd reaction to Vince when he came out on both shows?
Yes.
Quite amazing, wasn't it?
The fan base is still going to love him no matter what he did. I heard Vince's wife does not live with him anymore. Yes, we've talked about that. No, she doesn't. Vince is too smart to lose.
There's been bigger companies where their directors, owners have been forced to step down for less.
Right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly right.
Wasn't too smart. Wasn't too smart.
I mean, if he was that smart, he wouldn't be in this position.
It really doesn't show about. It doesn't show really about his intelligence. It shows about his arrogance. That is what that is.
I heard that Linda has a man on the side too. It's none of my business who Vince is with, and I don't care. But it's a moral thing, like a soldier or a cop having an affair. Bad publicity. It's our society. today. Sean Smith, Vince used his own money to pay the woman, but at the end of the day, it was more than he paid for WCW, and it will be less than he ended up paying for AEW. Oh man, this has been an entertaining show. We're going over a little bit by the way, people tonight because we wasn't here last week, so we'll go through everybody still, and then we'll get off here. Andre the Giant Haku was a good team from Gregory. Wendy Harkins. I heard that WWE may be doing away with the brand split. Don't know if it's true or not. They're probably going to have to. They don't have any stars.
Well, I had heard that, but then I also read where they have decided to keep the split in place. There's going to be a handful of people that go back and forth between the shows, but that is more of a ratings thing than doing away with the brand split.
I'm sorry. I meant Shane O'Mac go to AEW. He wouldn't. That'd be a step down for him. He ain't gonna do that. I wonder if it was 1980. I wonder if it was 1982 and Get It Over really mattered to get paid. If Daniel Bryant would have let them destroy everything he busted his butt for, bled and literally broke his neck for. I don't think he did. I don't think he would have. He was getting money regardless if he drew money or not. You're right. You're right, Christopher. They don't care. And why should you? You're not getting paid based on anything. You're just being paid whether there's 10 people in the building. If 10 people watching on TV, you're still getting the same money, and you're going to get that because you signed a contract that you were going to get it. So, and Tony Khan has made it probably where his dad will have to pay it all out eventually and pay off these people's contracts. The WF has some good talent, but the talent needs to wrestle as heels and faces. They don't understand that concept. They think they turn somebody, it matters. I didn't even know that Christian. I didn't even know that he was a baby face, and he turns on this guy. I didn't even know he was a baby.
It's quite amazing if you thought you was watching the same show because they did the exact same thing with the chairs and the whole thing. Very sad.
I don't agree with that, Gregory. To think, I think Vince, they get rid of you based on whether or not you perform or not. So if they didn't perform and they didn't make the money out of that, it's all a numbers game with them. Because look at it, they're over there in they're over there in AEW, and they did 720,000 people watch it. So did he do the wrong thing or did he do the right thing? They just don't do well. They didn't do well for him. So why did?
Well, there's a harshness to this business that a lot of people don't understand is that not everybody gets to stay. Back in the territory days, unless you really burn some bridges, you came into the territory and you were not drawing, that promoter, booker, whatever would find you somewhere else to go. They would make calls, they would give you references, and you would go somewhere else. What's different now is that, one, of course, there's no territory system anymore, but there's no communication between the handful of companies that are out there. And really, there's only WWE. AEW is nowhere near on their level. And if they don't do something, they're never going to get there. And then you've got MLW, you've got Impact. Guys that work there, it's great when I hear them get signed. I know a lot of those guys, but they're still having to work regular jobs because they're not making enough off those contracts. But at the end of the day, with WWE, like you say, it's a matter of if we don't think you're making us money. And it's not just crowd reaction, but if you got T-shirts that are not selling, all kinds of merchandise and nobody's buying it, that is an indicator that nobody cares about you.
Yeah.
So if you see somebody on TV and you want them to stay there, go buy their T-shirt.
Exactly. And don't turn the TV off when they're on there because they can do these quarterly ratings now. If that rating goes down after somebody else, they're going to get rid of you no matter how much you like them. And that's just the way WWE does. And Tony Khan doesn't have that concept because if he had that concept, Young Bucks would never be on television again. I mean, it's just, and they shouldn't be. Watching Old School Memphis, great stuff. If you've not watched it, great stuff. Memphis Wrestling was always tremendous until a certain time it became the run-in show. And there is a time it became the run-in show. That's what we called it. We watched the run-in show before we came here today, and that was Memphis Wrestling, and that was that's all they did. It was a run-in. They just run-ins. Many old school wrestlers went from town to town and drove many miles, purchased a lot of gas, and made hardly any money. They paid their dues. Yes, they did. And let's see, Christopher, and if you got a good thing in a promotion and leave because you don't like the money, they may still actually find you a place to go. Yes, but you'll pay for it there too. The brokers would work together to keep talent in line with that. And I believe they do need more of that today. Because why would you book a person that caused trouble in one territory? Why would you bring them to yours? Because I guarantee you, they'll eventually cause trouble for you.
Are we? Let me think. Are we talking about Austin Idol again?
Yeah, he won my battle royal the other day, and he took my check, and he cashed.
Just wondering if you were talking about Austin Idol again.
I was at that show, by the way.
Hey, the joke is on Austin now. That check's going to bounce, so he'll have to work. We should get him. What's that word?
Abacus.
To help him count. It sucks though, really does. Did you guys miss the number 22? No, I think we got it, didn't we?
Yeah, we got it.
I thought we did. ECW was believable, and it was believable. Joe Bateman, Teddy DiBiase, and Steve Williams, his number 22. Sean Smith, both AEW shows barely broke 1 million viewers last week. Yeah, I think together.
Oh, they didn't. Yeah, together.
And it's
and you would think that Warner Media would have a meeting with him.
Yeah, well, they're going to.
And that, honestly, Jim Barnett had many a meeting with TBS.
They had that when they were in Los Angeles a few weeks ago. Because when they had the big meeting, all those folks in charge was at the show, and that was the night you had what's his name going on cussing fit, which rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah. MJF. And now you go right into some of the worst ratings that you've had so far. It's not a good sign.
No, not for them. The U.S. champion for WWE looks like the future. Who is the U.S. champion?
Theory.
Austin Theory. I don't know. Let me take this off because I won't be able to read all of it. It doesn't fit on there. So, but this is from Christopher Hughes. AEW needs to downsize. They tried to be too big, too quick. They relied on what the wrestlers and talent had done. All true. They took time in building storylines or gimmicks. They need to. I guess he's saying they need to do that. They didn't even attempt to get anyone over. That's what happened when they did away with the wrestlers that care as much about getting his opponents over as much as himself. And that is true. Everybody wants to get themselves over. Today, all they care about is their spots and looking good. You hit it right on the head, Christopher. That is what's happening in the business. JYD was the first black man to headline a promotion. I think Ernie Ladd wasn't he? Bobo.
Yeah, I'd say Ernie, Bobo.
Yeah.
Thunderbolt Patterson.
Bearcat Brown sold out Birmingham, Alabama for almost 18 weeks in a row with Lynn Rossi as a tag team. So there was other territories that people were pushed on. The Teflon owner. That's what he was talking about. Let's talk about that. Brent, I like the Mulkey brothers, especially after seeing their shoot interview. I've not seen that. I don't watch many shoot interviews anymore because most of the time I'm thinking to myself, are they ever going to tell some truth? People don't like Ole Anderson. He really does tell the truth, except for firing why he fired our father, because it wasn't for the reason he said. You can ask Les. Les got fired the same day. Robert Gibson is the best of the Rock and Roll Express. Let's see. Let me call Ricky.
I'm gonna screenshot that, send it to Robert. Let him know he's got one fan still.
That's what I'm talking about, Rodney. Guys like Jay White and Dusty, they could connect, make you want to see them win. Like when Dusty won his first world championship, the fans poured to the ring. How many times you've seen that? No one was stopping them. Let's see. No one was stopping them, and something's over top of it right now. That's the reason I'm not being able to read it. No one was stopping them, and no one was stupid enough to try. Eddie Dale. Eddie Dale is with us, and Eddie Dale say AEW is better than WF. Ever thought of it? Well, let me ask-
That's a personal preference.
Yeah.
type thing.
yeah. And
When you want to get down to the money, they're not even in the same league.
no, and ratings. They're not in the same league.
You know, when we're talking about Junkyard Dog, we cannot discount the contributions of the Freebirds in that too, because they were total innovation brought to Mid-South, something that they've never seen there before. And so I'm not sure, and I may be wrong, but I'm not sure without Michael Hayes and the Freebirds and the throwing the cream in his eyes, would Junkyard Dog would have gotten over. But I think that the Freebirds had a lot to do with the fact that Junkyard Dog was the superstar.
Well, this is something we've said many times: is if there's ever been a great babyface, it was because a better heel built them.
Yes.
Because you don't have one without the other.
Also, remember Thunderbolt Patterson in Georgia drew a ton of money in the 1970s in Georgia as well. You know,
I guess various people he worked with.
Yeah. You know, when we talk about AEW and we talk about better than, you know, I look at it like this. You can only be better than them if you're equal to them. You know, when's the last time their show did 700? Went from 1.4 million to 700,000. If any TV show did this, any TV show in this day and time and did that, what would happen to that television show? It would be canceled. I just foresee it. His show has went from a 1.4 million to 720,000 people. That meant his show that he's lost almost half of the people to watch his show. That is sad. And so is it good? It might be good to you, but is it good to the masses? That's the problem. It's not good to the masses. And he just doesn't know wrestling. He needs to put wrestling people in it. And until he figures that out, that he's not the only one going to book it, he's going to have a hard time at it, because this business is hard for people who understand the wrestling business. So how hard do you think it's somebody that believes he knows the wrestling business? And
it won't be long until football season. He'll be out coaching his team again, Jacksonville.
Yeah, they didn't do very well either. So who do you think got the hot tag fencers? Oh man.
I believe it was probably a double team all the way through.
Oh man, maybe Vince is thinking about taking WWE and turning into a nighttime soap.
Too late, he already has.
As the world went everywhere, Sean Smith, it's been said Linda was a real head of talent relations. And let's see, a great show, guys, from Wendy Hargis. We've actually, I turned a little heel tonight. I could apologize for it, but as Jack says, don't apologize ever. That's what he said. A good heel never apologizes for what he does. Pro wrestling, is it what it used to be? No. Will it ever be again? No. That's just all there is to it. But we love talking about the past, and we're gonna start talking a lot about the past as we look at Tommy Rich, we look at the Junkyard Dog, and we kind of look into his career and why he got over and why the people liked him so well in Louisiana, and even WWE. He was WWF. He was over there, and they didn't do nothing with him. He was over. No, I don't think, did they ever do an angle with Junkyard Dog ever in WWF?
He stole Harley's crown.
But other than that, did they ever do anything else?
No, not in a big time way, and they should have. But in that day and time where Ted DiBiase said he had to turn if he wanted to be on the main event, if Junkyard Dog wanted to be on the main event, he would have to turn and face Hogan, and that was not a bad idea. Don't forget about they have settled the lawsuit with Oliver Luck over the XFL, and Vince McMahon has a settlement in that one as well. That was something that we didn't talk about tonight.
Oh, that's right. I saw that as we were coming on.
Yeah, and then Big E throws away his neck brace. It's good news. Good news for him.
They need him back. They need him back in WWE. I want to thank everybody for being a part of Pro Wrestling Inside. Now, you know that we each week on our Facebook page we grow 1,000 followers each week. And it's because you're sharing all of our stuff, and we certainly do appreciate that. We are growing each week, and it's because of you. Thank you so much. Jack, anything you want to talk to the people about before we leave?
ProWrestlingTees.com. Go get your official Pro Wrestling Inside Out shirt.
That's right. And we'll be talking more about that. We'll be talking about an extra show that we'll be doing, but it will be one of those kind of extra pay because we can talk about what we want to, and those people won't pay for it. So we can just say whatever we want to say. Rodney, anything you want to talk about before we leave?
I believe that's it.
We'll see everybody next week right here on Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Thank you so much. If you've not went to YouTube, we're going to be doing some stuff there as well. Things are looking up for Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. And we'll see everybody next week right here as we continue talking about the history of pro wrestling and knock Tony Khan a little bit more.